Howdy, everybody. Happy holidays to you, and Merry Christmas if that's what you celebrate. It just so happens to be Christmas the day that I'm recording this, because it's close enough to the end of the year that I feel, okay, I can do kind of a 2019 retrospective, and not so far in advance that, I'm going to be missing out on things. Not that, not that really December has been very eventful for me. It's been a month, it's been a lot like a lot of the months that I have had this year, but hopefully I can go over things and just kind of do a 2019 year in review and see what happens. And hopefully I can do it in a very short period of time. That didn't come out very well, but you know what? F it, we're just going to leave it in. 2019 has been a year. There's been some high points, there's been some low points if you followed along with the channel so far. I've been able to show off some of those, and some of the high points certainly with the Floundering Through Japan series that I got to produce over the last few months, and the stuff that also came before that where it was kind of 50-50. It was stuff I liked to show off, it was things I went and did, as well as just me discussing things and going over some of the little quirks and stuff that just, bothers me. So to start, we'll just go with the high points, and obviously the highest of the high points was going back to Japan again. That was a goal I set for myself last year in 2018. Even something I was continuing to think about and wanting to plan for even after I lost my job at the end of August of that year. I couldn't get out of my mind. That first trip in 2018 was something that was life-altering, life-changing seems really overdramatic, but I mean, I love being overdramatic. It does happen with me. But it was something that I had set my sights on a long time ago, and I finally got to do it. It was amazing. So right then and there, as I was leaving the country the first time, I said, I'm going to do this one more time. Well, one more time is probably, going again would be the better way to put that. But, I figured I'd be able to do it anyways. I was going to be working, and I can save up again, it'd be fine. Then I found myself out of work, and I went, well, I'll figure it out, it'd be fine. And going into this year, I was unsure, but I was still jotting down places, I was still thinking about it. But then I found the temp job that I got there for a few months, and that not only was able to pay me enough to live off of, but it was paying me enough to where I could plan for this trip. I 100% paid for it within a month. It was great, and it made me enough money that I'm still living off that money. Not for very long, but we'll get into that a little bit later. But yeah, just being able to pull that off and going to do it again, with all the little problems that happened during that trip, and going during summer again, and just sweating my ass off, figuratively and literally, unfortunately, it was still worth it. It was 100% worth it, and I have to continually remind myself that I did that, and I was able to pull it off with help, obviously, but I still got to do it. And not a lot of people can say that. Not a lot of people can say they can make a plan like that. Lots of people can, but how many people are just barely scraping by that have those dreams and those hopes and aspirations and don't get to do it? So I am very fortunate I got to be able to do that this year. Another thing is just putting in more time here at YouTube and doing more content and being able to stick with a weekly release schedule. I've somehow managed to do that. It's not always, an original video. Some of it, obviously, if you've watched the last few weeks, it's been clips from my Twitch channel. But at the same time, it's something, anything going up onto the channel and just keeping that schedule up. I'd like to say that I would be able to do that up until I hit the 12-month mark of doing this. We'll see. You might get more Twitch stream clips out of that just to be able to keep it up, but I have a few things in the pipeline that I need to work on, and hopefully I'll be able to get those done and get those put up on here. Another thing that I'm really fortunate for this year is the friends that have stuck with me. What I mean by that are just, I guess, the people that are still around. After I lost my job last year, a lot of the friends I had were people I worked with, because you're there all the time, and we spent numerous summers me and the team I was on, 60, 70-hour work weeks. You're there all the time, and you bicker, but at the same time, you're also BSing, you're having fun, and you're keeping each other sane and, motivated. So when I lost that, it was tough, because all of a sudden that net was gone, and I realized, some of the friends I've had for a long time, I don't see very often because we just live on opposite sides of town and I don't drive. So, making that trip is only going to be a once in a while thing. And some people you just kind of fall out of contact with. The work people were exactly that. There's very few that I still at least talk to on a fairly regular basis. Some I haven't spoken to since I was done there. When that job was done, that was it. And it was kind of tough. So having folks around still that, want to deal with me and, invite me to do things. I might not always go out and do those, but at the same time, having them there and knowing they care is really important to me. And I'm very thankful and fortunate that they're still there. People like you don't know him, so my buddy Chris, you know him because he showed up a little bit in the FTJ series. He's one of them. Some mutual friends of ours. I feel kind of uncomfortable calling people out by name, actually. But honestly, I think you guys know who you are, and it always sounds awkward because anytime I express appreciation, I always feel like I'm lying to people, like I'm being disingenuous. But quite honestly, thank you for still being there, and I love you for it. And I hope that stays the same. I hope that continues here in 2020 and beyond. And yeah, really, thank you. Okay, so we have the high points. Now we get to go to the low points. I'm still out of work, and that hasn't changed. Aside from the temp gig I had, that was it. I interviewed with them to see if I could get a permanent position. That didn't work out. I think they finally actually saw my resume and realized I was nowhere near qualified to be doing work with them at all. So that didn't work out. And nothing else in the earlier part of this year. I've talked to Electronic Arts twice. You guys don't know, for anybody that's maybe not kept up with it or doesn't know me personally, I don't think I've talked about it that much. I used to do quality assurance work for a video game company here in Las Vegas. And I was with them for 5.5 years before shit happened. And I found myself out of a job. And I've been trying to find work within that segment for a while, either doing video games or going into casino gaming or going into, business software application, anything to be able to utilize the experience that I've built up over the years. And, I've talked to Electronic Arts, I've talked to Retro Studios, I've been in contact with Blue Point Games, I've been in contact with SciPlay, places like that. And really, nothing has worked out. I either don't get very far, maybe an initial contact and then that's it, or I don't get contacted at all. In other cases, I get to, the interview stage and, I feel like I do a decent interview. I know when I've kind of shown how weak my skill set can be sometimes, because unfortunately my previous job did not really set me up very well for what other companies do and the tools they work with, and just being prepared for what the outside world is going to be. They teach you very well their method, but they don't really set you up for going out into the world should you so happen to want to leave that company. So, the last place I talked to, I got to the point where I talked to the recruiter, we had a call, I had an interview, a video conference interview with some of the managers at that company. It was a place in Austin, Texas. And that was like 3 weeks ago, almost a month. And I haven't heard back from them, like nothing. There's been no communication. I tried contacting them. They more or less ghosted me. And that was kind of tough because at the beginning of this month, I ran out of my second round of unemployment. I had 6 months previously from August of last year. That ran out earlier this year. And then I had to wait until that benefit year ended. I could apply again, and I got more, but I got basically that original amount just halved. And that ran out. So I'm not out of money, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, okay, this shit needs to happen now. And while I want to utilize the experience I've had, unfortunately, it's tough to do. And it's also kind of something I've been burned out on. I fell back into it because I figured this would be the easiest thing to do. And I could just hop into it and start making money and get myself back on my feet and then kind of figure it out and continue to do the things like this and Twitch where I can, kind of flex my creative chops, so to speak, and have something that is personally fulfilling and just do what I was doing, but at the very least not be broke. That's not the case. And I'm at a crossroads now because as far as I'm concerned, I think my career in QA is done. And nobody's interested in me. They don't want to hire me. But I also don't know where to go from here because I don't feel like starting over. I did retail work for a long time before I got into QA. And by the time I was done with retail, I was done with it. And I moved on. But I stuck with that for a long time because I had experience. I worked for Office Max for over 5 years. I tried to get back into that with other companies, and it was the same problem. I had the experience, but for some reason, it might be me. Maybe I am not a great interviewer. I couldn't put my finger on it. And at this point, certainly with the start of the year, it's been really, really tough to think about what the future holds. In terms of, and certainly in terms of this, I don't know. I have no idea. And I know I can't hold out forever. And there's certain things I don't want to do. Like I've done call center work. I don't want to go back to that. I've done food service work. I don't want to go back to that either because neither one of them pay very well. I'm not looking for like a ton of money. I'm not looking for a lavish lifestyle, but I'm looking to get ahead, not to get by. And certainly at 36, I can't do some of this shit anymore. I need to be able to try to get ahead because there's things I want to do for myself and in my life. And it's been tough. It's been a tough month, certainly on that front. I've lost a large number of days feeling sorry for myself and lots of late nights where it takes me 2-3 hours to go to sleep and I'm just beating myself up the whole time because I don't know what else to do. Yeah. So with all of that kind of also goes into the fact that, I still deal with anxiety. I still deal with depression. They've been amplified over the last couple of months because it just feels like nothing is going to work. I'm not sure about the future. The work thing's one thing. Even here, doing this, doing YouTube, doing Twitch, I find myself doing things for the channels, but at the same time, 100% questioning, should I even continue doing this? What's the point? Because it's not worked out the way I would have liked. And part of that is also I'm just impatient, but I had kind of hoped. I've been doing Twitch on the regular longer than I've been doing stuff here on YouTube, despite the fact that I've been on YouTube for a long time. It's never been a regular thing. Twitch I started doing regularly at the end of last year. I made affiliate earlier this year. Not that that's super difficult, but that was also kind of a small uphill battle. And I made a little bit of money off of it, but I've noticed that that's not grown. If I'm going on and streaming for several hours, it's usually just people I know and they'll hop on, but I don't get a lot of random people. There's not a whole lot of folks that just decide, let me click on this. And I don't know what to do with that. That's tough because, I feel like it doesn't make much difference if I have a camera on. I generally run things now without a camera. I don't want to go, too far into it, but it's also a crowded marketplace. And it's the same thing with YouTube. It's super crowded. and I'm, 6-7 years too late doing regular content. It's tough to get into, and it's hard to look at it and go, there's, nothing. As I feel like I'm continuing to grow a little bit and get a little bit better at it, there's nothing there to motivate me, because I've already talked about it before. I like having feedback and I like seeing interaction, and without it, I feel like I'm just kind of doing things and putting it out there, and that's it. They just kind of wither there and die. And certainly the last few episodes of FTJ just they didn't go anywhere. It's something I like to do, but it's something I'm just kind of like, I'd like to do this for a living, and that feels like a pipe dream a lot of the times. And, something where it's very naive of me to think that I can do this for a living. It's, that's why I was like, I need work. I need work to be able to do this on the side. So maybe one day it would take off, but right now it's 100% not going to sustain me. It's just going to be me doing work for nothing and running out of money. So that lumps in with the work stuff, and it leaves the future very uncertain. I wanted to go back to Japan in 2020. I may not be able to do that, and that's a tough pill to swallow. My buddy Chris is going back in the end of April, and I'm not going to be able to go. And I'd like to be able to push that out to the end of the year, go like around November or December. That may not happen either. That sucks. There's no two ways about it. It sucks. So 2020 is going to be interesting. We'll see what happens after January 1st and whether or not anything changes. Obviously, if I keep up with this, I'll talk about it, or at least try to, and go on about it. But for now, I think that's going to be about it. This is actually my second attempt trying to record this, and thankfully I came back and did it. I think it's slightly more coherent. It's certainly not as much of a downer, but that's my life. My life's a bit of a downer, and I try my best to build a ladder, as a certain YouTube channel would say, and keep myself motivated and keep my spirits up and find little things to love about life, even if it's just something really mundane like a cup of coffee. But we'll see. 2020 could be anything. I thought the same thing last year, and things kind of more or less worked out. Not as well as I would have liked, but they worked out. So, who knows? Anything could happen. But in the meantime, what do you guys want 2020 to be for you? Let me know down in the comments. I'd like to see what your hopes and aspirations are, what you're looking forward to, any big plans you might want to pull off. But in the meantime, go ahead and like and share, smash that subscribe button, all that good stuff, and have a happy new year. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in 2020. So y'all take care. Peace out.